Hey, I'm with the developers of Calvino Noir. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
So it's the architectural film noir heist game. It's for Steam and iOS. It's a 2.5D platformer. It's set in 1930s Vienna. It's European. It's a little bit allegorical. It's kind of got its world of its own. It's not so much about the war. You're this character called Wilt. You're a war deserter from 20 years ago. You can't go home because you're wanted back at home, and you're involved in the criminal underground, and you get this job. It's a new job, and things don't go right on it, and you end up in a bit of a situation, and you spend the rest of the game kind of trying to get out of the situation. So it's the gameplay is broken down to a few pieces. There's one side you're exploring the narrative, you're discovering the world. On the other side, you're sneaking past guards, you're sneaking into buildings, finding stuff, completing objectives, and there's a little bit of fighting going on as well.
What's the objective to do in this game then?
So it kind of changes and evolves and develops as you go through the game, and there's narrative driven. So at the start of the game, you take on a job to steal some documents from the town hall. But then when you get there, there's a double cross, and in fact, the person who's helping you ends up stabbing you and leaving you for dead. And you've got to escape. And then, of course, you're blamed for the documents going missing, and you've got a little bit of evidence left behind, and then you end up following that up and looking. So then you're looking for new evidence to follow that up. I don't want to tell you too much and ruin.
You don't want to spoil it.
Exactly.
Don't go too far.
No spoilers.
Don't go too far into that.
So I got half the story there.
Yeah. No. That's a little bit from the first chapter.
Looking at it, it's quite a dark game. Is that what you were going for?
It's about the atmosphere and the theatre of film noir. It's about capturing the kind of romance, a little bit of the third man in there. It's about that kind of world. There's it is quite dark. Sort of the artwork's all about the light and shadows and the smoke and the mist.
You can definitely see the torches on there. Are they guards or?
Yeah. So you have a torch, and your torch does a few things. It illuminates dark areas, obviously, so you can see your way around. But it's also useful for finding items, so you can direct your torch around and find objects that are hidden in the scene. But then, yes, the guards also have torches, and if you end up in their torchlight, then they can see you. So it's a way of communicating the gameplay and telling the player that that's the area they don't want to enter, because they'll
a safe zone.
They'll be detected, and the guards are armed, so they'll shoot you.
Do you not have a weapon, or?
You do later on in the game, but not in the first chapter. So the first chapter is kind of a series of sneaking puzzles, and then later on we start to introduce different types of fighting. So you will have a weapon, but again, you've got limited ammo, and it also makes quite a loud noise, and it will detect other guards, so you really only want to use it as a last resort when you've got no options.
So what country is it set in?
So it's based in Vienna in Austria. It's quite kind of borrowing a lot from the third man, but it's very allegorical. It's not a literal interpretation. So there's a lot of different ideas, a lot of our own kind of creative input. So it's not a direct lift from any source material, but you got a little bit of the sewers from the third man in there. You got a little bit of inspiration from the European places.
And what sort of sounds or audio does the player get when he listens to the game?
So it's soundscape, a lot more than music. So there's a little bit of music in there, but only, for example, in the first chapter, you go into a jazz bar and there's a jazz band playing, but then that's part of the ambience of the environment. So there's very much kind of a rich soundscape as you travel between areas. Part of the immersion is in what you hear and how the sound of the spaces change. So in the outside, there'll be rain, there'll be a heavy rain sound, and at the start of the game, you go out from this tunnel where it's a lot more echoier, and the rain's slightly more distant. Then you enter, and the rain's all around you, and it's
quite an immersive sound.
Yeah, exactly.
And is it all set? Everything's right about 1930s.
Yeah, so it's we're not too extreme with
the actual
our research.
It's not too focused on 1930s. It's just somewhere around that area.
Exactly.
But like interwar, post World War I kind of era.
You got a favourite bit about your game?
What's our favourite bit?
Favourite bit about the game?
It's too much.
I love the visuals.
It's really fun to work on the visuals. It's really kind of So I've spent too much time on it as well.
Graphically, it looks amazing with the dark. Because you've set your game. I don't think there'll be any light levels, is there?
No, it's all nighttime. It's all nighttime in the dark, just to capture that kind of the lighting, the quality of light.
Do you reckon you'll ever get snow? Because it could. I reckon snow could work.
Snow could work. Snow's interesting.
We'll stick it on the maybe list.
On the maybe list.
Like it only comes on in December.
We want to add a little bit of stuff. I think the rain effect's not in yet, but there will be kind of a really rich volumetric rain in there, and we'll add some lightning in as well.
So you've had people play the game. Are they happy with it? Did they like it?
We've got some really great feedback.
Good reviews.
So we got some really positive things. There's always stuff to do, but I'm really pleased.
We've also got a list of things that we'll be working on.
Are you happy with the spot you got here in?
It's fantastic. We're right up against the kind of the main entrance onto the level, so we're basically the first game that anyone sees as they come up onto this floor. So.
And have you been to EuroGamer before?
This is my first time at EGX. I've been at Res twice before.
We were at Res at March, but we didn't see you again there. Did you not get a spot?
No, not this year. We didn't really have anything to exhibit this year, but the previous year we exhibited in the left field collection.
Is this new then? Only just been?
This is the first time it's been played publicly. So far we've only released text and some animated images. Yeah. So it's the first kind of live play.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Anything you want to add?
I think that summed up the game pretty well, to be honest.
That's it. No, that was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.